Thanks for coming today. This is the Justice and Memory Project, and we're meeting today. This is our 25th meeting. The Mayor Burris assembled this team to work on avenues of atonement outlined in the 11-time resolution. So we've been working on the resolve since then. So with that, we'll go ahead and, like we normally do, is have a moment of silence for those who have moved on and no longer with us. Thank you. Okay, Jen, parliamentary has reminded us that we need to vote on the minutes.
And I do see it on the agenda. It's just a small font. I'll try to get my glasses out. Yeah, so we have minutes from Thursday, February 16th to accept and approve. So do we have a motion to approve these minutes with the two changes we just discussed? Ensuring that Bobby Crook and Christine Davis Johnson are marked as present instead of not in attendance. So does anyone want to make that motion? Second?
Anybody?
How do you be second? All right, so all those in favor of accepting the minutes with the two changes, say me, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anyone opposed? All right. Great, so we've got minutes from the 16th of February.
Okay. The next item that we have on the agenda is a vote on meeting quorum. And we need to do this because we have had other people that are no longer on the team. And we had quorum at 5 and we could not be in vote. Well, we couldn't vote. So we want to vote on a number now that will meet quorum for all our future meetings, since we no longer have the number of people that were attended and that were on this committee. Hi, Charlene. So we talked about it and we decided to reduce quorum. So is there a number that we want to put down to meet quorum for this meeting?
5 is what it is now.
Yes, so we think about either 4 or 3.
4.
Let's just go ahead and change it one time to 3 in that way. We won't, if we continue to change it anymore. That's a recommendation. We just have 3 here as members of this team. It will be quorum.
Only thing I worry about 3 is it's the low number.
Okay.
I would just, I personally feel more comfortable with 4, just get this half. It's here.
The question with quorum is what's the minimum number of people that can make decisions?
Right. Yeah.
So I hear you saying 4 is the number you're comfortable with.
Well, I'm not, I think it's the will of the group, but I feel like 4 maybe. 3 minutes, raise some questions.
We consistently have 4 members here, don't we?
Yes, we consistently, but I was just thinking about the number of people that we have traveling in. So, yeah, starting in Christian traveling in and to make quorum. So, if either one is fine with me, but I'm just thinking. Trying to get out. We have Jen, Bobby, and myself, and usually we have at least 3. That's what I was thinking.
How many present members do we have? How many people are currently on the committee? Total?
It's 8. What's set up with 9. Commissioner Parker is no longer with us. It's 8.
What is typical percentage that you would expect on an advisory committee?
Well, most of them, like the American Commission 7 is a quorum.
7 to 10 to 70%.
Yeah, but that's unusual. Sometimes most people at least have half.
I think we'll go 4.
50% is good.
Yeah, but we have some people who don't, really regularly make it, but we can go at 4.
And let me ask about that. So I guess, state law doesn't allow people to call in or something. Is that the case or here? Correct.
Yes, yes, if we could have someone call in, that would be different, but people cannot call in. I always wondered about that. Yes, no, we can't call in. If we have Zoom present, well, since we're not in COVID, you have to be present. So the 4, we talked about 4 or 3, so with 4, I can go with 4. If we're gonna make it and people are gonna be here.
I'll make a motion around to take it to 4.
Second. So, okay, for now,
So all those in favor of moving this committee's quorum to 4, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So we're at a 4 quorum now.
the next item on the agenda is renaming South Finley Street to Leonardtown Plain. And that's just a strip of South Finley Street where the dorms are. From Baxter to Cloverhurst. And we have talked about it, but we have not had a vote on it. So when it goes before the mayor and commissioners, it will become like a recommendation from us.
To clarify, there are 2 paths to rename a street.
Okay.
We've talked about the one path of getting, I believe it's a certain percentage of folks signed on a petition. There's also a path of going to get the district commissioner and the mayor to put on the agenda.
And I think this street's a little bit unusual in that there's no addresses on the street. All the addresses are Baxter Street addresses.
So the dorms have Baxter Street address.
Right. So,
There's no letterhead.
yes, so that's what I'm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so the only other
It's
option,
not costing anyone
right,
on that street any money to change. They're not, their addresses aren't changing.
right.
That's helpful to know.
And if there's no addresses, there's no petition to get or from the. So it has to
Option,
go
yeah.
through the mayor commission. Through the mayor commission.
Any other questions or conversations right around that?
But it could be changed without going through the University of Georgia.
Yeah, it just goes to the mayor.
It just goes to the mayor commissioner. And we're hoping this will be done sometime in May, maybe.
Right.
The vote in May.
Yeah.
So I think if I recall last meeting, the suggestion was made that this committee vote and then offer a short description of our recommendation to the mayor commission. So again, we're advisory commission, advising to the mayor. So if we voted and then somebody could write up just a small little blurb to formally get to the mayor, and that's our final recommendation was what I recall being suggested as best path. So does somebody want to make a motion that this committee is advising the mayor commission to rename South Finley between Cloverhurst and Baxter to Leonardtown Lane?
Yes. And
Motion by Hattie, a second. Second from Christine. So everyone in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Check. So we'll get somebody to write up a little short rationale, pass on to the mayor form.
Yeah, just a paragraph or something.
Paragraph, email. Who should do that?
I don't mind it. I mean,
Great.
I'm the commissioner.
You'll pass along, but formally pass on. Okay, thank you.
thank you,
If you'll send it to us and we'll put it into an agenda item.
Excellent.
thank you.
Thank you.
The next on the agenda is Nikki is calling on you on the right of way on South Finley.
Yes, ma'am. So we finally have an update on the right of way, and obviously it's taken a really long time. We apologize it's taken so long. But now we do have clarity on what the status of the right of way is. So I'll just be very brief here. So the intersection of, oh God, I was just looking at a map. The intersection of Baxter. Yes, thank you. The intersection of Baxter and Finley. So basically 385 feet down Finley, south on Finley is not unified governance. But everything south, those 386 feet south on Finley is ours. We do have the right of way there. And so that's the long story short. there is ownership, but at 386 feet south of the intersection.
Is that what that line is, just over from the edge of the Russell Hall there, basically?
That's
About-
correct. That's right.
That box is USG, but everything below.
That's correct.
Pass that around. So when you see this image, you'll see there's a box with hash marks in it that is not, there is no right of way, everything south of that, which is at least half the street.
And so, Ms. Hattie, from my understanding, and please jump in, basically what that means is we've been talking about doing a mosaic at the intersection. So now we know that we can't do that. So there has to be a
Well-
pivot of some sort.
What we want to do, now that we know what the right of way is and talking to the descendants, what we would like to do is bring back this committee is that what we want to do is move forward with the historical markers of the signage either way. We could say, some people say it's markers, some people say signs. But with the understanding that we need to get a firm to help us with what they put on the signage. We don't have that capability of understanding what to put on them. So we need some guidance as to what needs to go on there once they sit with us and talk with us and understand what needs to go on the signage. So it's after talking to the residents, so that's what we want to do with the signage, because as I understand it, people are saying, well, we don't know what you're gonna put on the signage. Well, we don't know what to put on there either. That's why we need help. And we need help with that, and we need help with the, going back with the new commissioners to understand that we need help with the correct wording to put on this signage, because it's gonna be there. So we wanted to talk about that and we want to move forward with that, with RFP for that right away, so we can get that done.
Certainly, and what we can do is, since we've already started on a kind of a template of an RFP, we have the bones, but we'll have to go back in and make some changes. We can come back at the next meeting with an RFP and kind of review it with y'all, maybe on the board here, and kind of talk everybody through it to make sure we're all on the same page. And then we can take it to the mayor's commission.
Who comes up with the sign, the verbiage for the historical markers that you see, like on Sweet Auburn, or you know what I'm talking about? Like,
It's a great question. So as I understand it, Jen, go ahead.
So there was a lot of research done at the earlier phases of when the walk of recognition was conceptualized, and there are specialty expert firms, they can do this, as I learned, the language tip to tail. I mean, they're called interpretive graphic design firms, and in general, that's what I've heard them called. There is a firm that I know and have spoken to, and Ms. Hattie spoken to as well, that did the Sweet Auburn signs. So they will consult with us and get our opinions and feedback and the vibe and the things we want, and but they will have the information, the research, they will craft both the wording, any imagery, any interactive components like QR codes. But there really are people who are experts not only in, creating the signs, but doing that public history work of what do you capture, how do you capture it, and then how do you actually design them. And then I think it depends on budget, but I think we want them to install them. I mean, that was the vision in the earliest parts, was a tip to tail graphic design firm for those 3 markers or signs.
Now I'd have to double check. I think we have $50,000 in the inclusion budget set aside for this. And that may not cover it, but what we'll do is we'll know, once we put the RFP out, we'll get the proposals back, we'll have a better idea of what it's gonna cover.
I should look at 50,000.
Markers, I would hope so too.
Right.
I don't know. I really don't. And I mean, I think we'll have a better idea once we get the proposals back, and we'll certainly ask those questions. Just to give y'all a heads up and signal what some of the milestones are being, so we'll put an RFP out. We'll receive the proposals, evaluate the proposals, have a better understanding of the cost. And then we will talk with whoever is selected about some of the expectations this group will. But the mayor commission will see it before the signs are created, as we're formulating what's going to be on the signs, and then draft products before we actually say, hey, we're going to go with that. So there'll be 2 touch points with the mayor commission. And then once approved by the mayor commission, we'll then give them the direction to go ahead and start moving forward.
And that sounds I guess I'm just wondering where this group fits in about having a say in it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think whoever wins the RFP will work really closely with this group. Because this group is obviously the focus group, if you will.
And the draft RFP that I shared with you had some specific language about working with the Athens Justice and Memory Project in conceptualization and design.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll just hopefully, that would be part of their requirement, maybe to come to this group and show us what they're doing and get feedback from us before it goes to the Mayor Commission, right?
That's correct.
So it kind of gets a check from us first, then the formal approval of the Mayor Commission.
Okay, so that's where what we want to do around the signage. The mosaic, I believe that we need to go out and look at the area that you're talking about for the city of Athens. So we can see basically if, based on the guidelines, where can a mosaic be? So we can go out and check that area and decide.
Similar to what we did going out there and looking at the intersection, we might want to do something
Yes.
like that
We want to do that.
with TPW inclusion.
Yes,
It'd be great if DPW could just say, hey, that this is kind of like the biggest box that could fit here, or that this scale.
yes,
Because I know that the corner question had to do with sight lines that we dealt with
Right.
other things like the monument on Broad Street. And so if DPW could do that, I even recall that, Mike, when we were doing the new downtown curbing, they put out those plywood boxes just to
Oh, yeah.
demonstrate, here's what something would look like if you had a new tree planting area. And so that kind of exercise might be helpful.
yes. So I don't know when we can do that, but this is a recommendation to go out and look and try to see where that could fit.
Could we come back next meeting with an update on a meeting time and all those things?
Yes.
Related to that walkthrough or
Yes.
whatever we want to call it.
I would say yes, but we need to vote on this, but yes. We need to come back together and then go out there and then put a box there if we have to, whatever we have to do. So those are the two recommendations from this, that thing that we need to vote on. Does somebody have a whole lot of questions,
I have one more question. When did you say the RFP for the signage would be going, or for the other part? would be-
We'll formulate it. We have the bones of it right now, so we still need to go back and probably update it quite a bit. We can bring it back to this group next month. And if this group approves what it looks like next month, then we can put it out immediately after that.
Right.
Is that too soon?
No.
One month we're in.
No, we need to move.
No, I mean, that RFP, the draft that you'll work with has been around for quite a while. So it's right, it's ready to move if you're ready to move it.
We're ready to move as fast as lightning speed as we can on these things, because we've been working on them for a long time.
I mean, if you've got the bones for it already, I don't know why we need to.
There's something there, I don't know how good it is.
Do you want to just send it out sort of as a potential administrative action by the email?
Certainly. I mean, I just want to make sure this group agrees to it, obviously. And I want to make sure we have enough time to make sure it's right.
What is your answer?
I'd like to bring it back to this group next month.
And I would just say like what exists now is quite messy. So I think a version that has all resolved comments and track changes that, we could read in advance of this meeting as part of the interview with you guys. Yeah, that version has quite a lot of noise on it.
I haven't looked at it in a while, so
Okay.
that's why I'm a little bit hesitant.
Okay,
Yeah.
A little hemming and hawing there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's got a lot of track changes and comments and outdated, language and dates now, so yeah, if we get a cleaned up version, that's whatever folks who know that the recommends, we could read that.
And it will include a schedule within the RP. as well.
just everything.
In the RP as well.
Okay, so those are the things that we have discussed. Do we need to, at this point, we need to vote on.
I think that'd be helpful, provides some direction to staff to move
Okay.
forward with an RP.
So
Any more questions around that? Okay, let's go to the affordable housing.
Sure, so I have a schedule for everyone and I can send an email out directly after this meeting to everyone so we're all on the same page. So currently staff is working on an RFP concept based off the mayor commission approval for down payment assistance and rehab. And it's taken us this long because we were working on eviction prevention, as you all know. So our hope is in May, we will have something on the agenda setting session. And then in June, it'll be voted on by mayor commission as it relates to the RFPs for the mayor commission to see the concept. And if everything's approved, we hope to release the RFP in July. And ultimately, we'd like to have the evaluation, which would include the vision committee in September. And then we would communicate back to the mayor commission our recommendations on approval in October.
This is going out a lot further than I thought. You know, we thought we were gonna have, you know, I guess lightning speed so people can go ahead with application before October.
Well, so these are federal funds, so we do have to follow a process.
I-
This is our typical RFP process. And again, our ARPA team is really busy dealing with the immense amount of ARPA funds that we're dealing with, eviction prevention being one.
I'm just expressing, you know, to like, people are asking, when can they apply? We're getting people waiting on trying to apply for this money so they can get homes and repay.
And we do have sort of two related programs that are part of our general countywide affordability opportunities going out a little bit earlier, I think. So the Council on Aging and the Land Trust were both awarded funds for sort of two separate programs around rehab. And those, do you know if they're taking applicants right now?
I do not know.
Okay.
I can come back and report back at the next meeting on those, if that's something that. you might
So
want
it'd probably be
to-
good, just if you know people in the community who are looking for that particular need. Yeah, and they're both rehab, they're not the down payment piece, but those should be on the street anytime now. One is really sort of a senior focused program, and one is focused on those high poverty census trends.
We need that too. Somehow, everybody's working like separate groups and we don't know who, you know, about all these other organizations that are doing things that we could bring. I wish we could bring it up under one umbrella and then people can see it and I can speak to it. But, you know, Land Trust and here, you know, we don't know, this group don't know about it. And when I get calls, I don't know about mine.
What we could do is provide you with kind of a spreadsheet, like which groups got what funding and what that funding is for.
Yeah.
To the mayor's point, maybe somebody's doing rehab, the land trust, and we can get you that contact information and maybe we can get that out to you.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about, and I don't know if this is what the group would want to do, but since you've already got two groups doing it, and it looks like we're going to partner with other groups. Would we just send on another RFP and just give them, just give those two groups?
We need
additional-
to go through a competitive process.
But they've already been through a competitive process for the first go around with the RFP they're working under now.
I think what the mayor was referring to was CDG.
No, the housing affordability ARPA dollars that we allocated in December, I think that's right. Remember in mid-December, and then Habitat got some funds for Little Oak Street. It was in that package.
Okay.
So those
Yeah,
are
it's a lot of
package and
things.
stuff, okay.
My recommendation would be we go through a different competitive process.
I just, I had a call today, with a lady, and she's looking forward to buy a home. But she cannot afford to buy money and buy a home. So I couldn't tell her a program that was already, she wanted to know about where we were. But we're nowhere ready, but I couldn't tell her what other areas she could go to. And so that spreadsheet probably would help me when someone calls me and telling me these stories. I can say, go here. instead of them saying, well, I talked to this person, they didn't know, they told me this, but there were uncertain, a lot of uncertainties out here when people are trying to find avenues to home ownership.
So a great resource would be our Housing and Community Development Department. They are responsible for disseminating home and CDBG funds to our partner agencies who actually do the work. However, we already have a spreadsheet that I can provide.
Yeah, if you could provide that for me, so I can get back with her on what can be part of the group that the apartments that were shut down in Lexington Heights. Group, so that would help me. And it will help us to understanding when we start communicating about this program that we're talking about, having small groups of meetings about to help people to understand what the applications are and all that.
Quick question, for this program that we're talking about, the affordable housing that this group has been directly involved in, what do you imagine that the qualifying or selection criteria would be to where those funds are directed and who qualifies? What are the thresholds or characteristics you're currently looking at for that?
The actual home buyer or homeowner
Yeah.
or,
What kind of characteristics they have that qualify them to use these funds for affordable housing?
so generally speaking, 80% of AMI and below. And Mayor, 80% of AMI right now is like 50.
Depends on family size, but it's at about 60 for family of 4.
66,000.
So 80, so basically it's an income threshold that they have to be below to qualify for the funds?
It is, that's correct. And let me pull it up real quick.
And then are there any geographic conditions that sort of are going to target a particular neighborhood over others?
I think this one was for high census poverty tracts, high poverty census
So
tracts.
it's those tracks that have higher, okay. So
Yeah.
we'll have a geographical component and income qualifying.
Yeah, so we have two, the Hancock corridor and East Athens.
Great.
Thank you.
That's great.
That helps.
61, you're right.
So 80% of 61.
Yeah, I guess I would wonder, could we not lower it to 60% AMI?
You could.
Reach more people.
We could,
We could.
Well, if you did 80 or below, you sort of cast a wider net,
Right.
Yeah, but
If you're trying to focus on,
very low.
right, so that's,
we're trying to focus on very low,
I think that's,
very low.
well, so to be clear here, when we're talking about home buyers, okay?
It's a big,
It's harder for us to hit home buyers at a lower
Yeah.
income. And that's what down payment assistance is. Now, when you're talking about home owner rehab, that's different. That's very different.
What is that?
So let's say, Miss Jones lives on 101 Jones Street and she has, she's on Social Security. So Miss Jones, her income is going to be lower than Dr. Epps, who's a teacher, but she's still at 80% AMI because she's making $60,000. Miss Jones is making, $38,000 Social Security. So, you're able to target more Miss Joneses than the Dr. Epps.
And then Ms. Jones is going to need the roof at some point, and $25,000 roof on $30,000 annual income is rough.
Right, so someone on a fixed income that, generally speaking, that's what rehab programs do. They target folks on fixed incomes. Rather than someone at 80% who's working and living in a house.
Or it could be something as simple as a new toilet.
Of course, weatherization,
yeah.
new windows.
And the home ownership component of it does get a bit more challenging, maybe, because you do want to make sure if there's assistance given that they're able to afford the home as they move forward. So,
And the way we set it up, there's something to that as well. And certainly love to hear y'all's input. It could just be a straight up grant opposed to some sort of repayment. I would not advocate for repayment.
It should be a grant.
yeah, it should be.
It should actually
It's not-
be a grant, so that people won't have to pay it back.
But what we would do is put a deep restriction on it, right? Because what we don't want is for someone to qualify,
And then.
get their home rehab.
And then sell
Flip
it.
it. That's right, because that's not,
It should be
well,
the restriction.
theoretically, that's not what you would want.
No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to let anybody flip anything. Help people, home ownership that will stay there.
Keep people in place, the age in place.
So I guess it makes sense to have the higher AMI threshold for a home buyer at 80%, but pop it a lower one for the repairs to try to target really low income and fixed income. So they may not have the same threshold, it sounds like.
So when we go to the mayor and commission with the concept, that's part of what we will provide,
Okay.
right? So that's another reason why I think it's important for us to kind of go through the process. So, if we go to the mayor and commission and say, hey, 80% for this, 60% for this, and if they agree, that's what we'll do. But if there's, not agreement there and they want to change it, which they do have the authority to do, that's what we'll go with. But what I'm hearing is y'all would rather start at 80% for down payment assistance, which makes a lot of sense, and maybe target 60% for homeowner rehab.
Okay. Any more discussion of this? Jen, you want to go ahead? We talked about that.
Yeah, we covered all that.
Okay, is there anything else that we have not covered that you would like to talk about discussing this meeting? Okay, well, we appreciate everybody coming to the meeting today, and thank you for your focus and your presence. Thank you. Any business on? And we'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Rolling, so.